So now we're going to talk about making the coaching cycle video. This should be between 3 to 5 minutes, but no less than three, and you cannot go over 5 minutes. So make sure you stay between that time because it's really important. So let's go ahead and kind of review the 5-step coaching cycle because in the video, they expect you to kind of provide an example walking through this cycle. And so it helps to kind of understand what it is and what it might look like to provide your video. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to identify and understand a challenge. So there are so many different problems in education, and when you are coaching, there are multiple different like one-on-one issues that you'll encounter. When a teacher is sharing a struggle, that you cannot be judgmental with them. You need to be understanding. And another thing is you are kind of having a venting session or a gripe type of session where teachers are sharing a challenge that they're struggling with in their classroom. It could be classroom management. It could be using some type of tech tool. It could be the copier, something with the copier keeps going wrong, and so they need to make something digital. So many different problems in education, and I feel like once we figure one out, another one comes up. So we're constantly growing, but we have to be open and honest about these challenges. So as a coach, it's your job to allow teachers to feel comfortable, to have you open up. One way that you can allow them to become comfortable with you is using a gripe jam. Google talks about this gripe jam in their course, and it's really good. I've never heard this strategy until I became a Google coach. And so, what it is teachers have a gripe jam, and they kind of have their problems from, they just kind of have post it notes and they just lay out everything that could be wrong in the classroom, anything that could stress them out that might be a gripe to them. And then at the end, they order them from this happens like all the time to less frequent or less frustrating. Then they rate it from how many people it affects. And from there, they pick one focus or one challenge to focus on. And once you figure out that one challenge, you're ready for step two. So when you are creating your video, think about that one challenge that you have coached and helped a teacher work through. So, step two is you're investigating maybe a possible strategy or solution. So, this is where you're researching. As you become more comfortable in coaching, you will probably have a bunch of strategies in your toolbox ready to go. But at the beginning, you might be a little bit slower at this because you're building up that toolbox to really understand what practices are maybe best practices in the classroom. So, this is where you might use different websites or educational books to help you, and it really depends on the topic. So, if a teacher is struggling with classroom management, you might research different strategies for engagement, or depending on the classroom management, different like executive functioning skills that could help students. So, again, it can kind of vary. And this is where research is really important. It's also really important to know the teacher because this is a one on one coaching cycle. And so once you know the teacher, once you kind of understand the role, you are then going to select that personalized strategy and tool. So this is where you come together with that teacher again. And sometimes you might research or talk about strategies together. Like, I've been reading this book or I saw on this website, here's 3 different ideas that I'm thinking about. What do you think might be best for your classroom? So again, you're going to select the tool with that teacher and you're going to start to customize. So if it's differentiating, to select a tool, you might go with blended learning, and you might pick a model where it's choice boards, or maybe they're using a roadmap. And you're sitting down with that teacher and you're starting to create that lesson or that unit together alongside them. Once you do that, you're ready to implement and then make improvements. So, what this means is you are probably going to talk about, are we going to co-teach? Are we going to have me model the lesson? Do you want me to watch you and give you feedback? So this can look completely different depending on the teacher. And then you will probably come back and visit again and meet again, depending on the strategies. This could happen multiple times, that implementation, until the teacher gets comfortable. Sometimes it happens once and the teacher's ready to go. Other times it might take 2 or 3 times. After that, the next step is reflecting. So you're going to reflect on that experience and the outcomes and talk about, hey, how did it go? What challenges do we might have now, or roadblocks? Or is it going great? And this reflection time is really key. I like to put this in my Google Calendar. I like to just put a note like, hey, check in on this teacher. and then follow up with them. So in 2 weeks, hey, how has blended learning been going? How has that strategy been going that we worked on? Oh, it's been going great. Or hey, there's this roadmap, and you can start a coaching cycle all over again based on that roadmap that has occurred. So again, this is the 5 coaching cycle, and it can look different. Your video can be very, very unique. And again, it's going to be between 3 to 5 minutes. You're going to talk about that 5-step model, and you are going to talk about your experience with that teacher at your school. Okay, so make sure you talk about every single step in that coaching model when you are creating your video. Talk about that challenge that the teacher is facing, and then explain how you're walking through that within those 5 steps. Okay, so how are you identifying it? How did you investigate? What did you do to select the tool? Implement, reflect. And so, what I did in my video, and I'll provide this in the speaker notes for you, is I talked about my coaching cycle with a teacher. And let's see if we can skip this ad. And you can kind of see here, I just made a Google slide deck, my photos down here. And then I talked about each step. I just put every single part, and then I shared my screen walking through how a teacher was struggling with vocab. And I was able to provide them support with different DOK levels to help them with that more creativity in the classroom. So just kind of, again, I walked through how I did every single step of the coaching cycle. I just made one slide to make sure I covered everything. And then I just walked through. So again, I'm going to put this in the description of this video so you can review it if you just need some more inspiration. But keep your video between 3 to 5 minutes long and talk about every single step of that coaching cycle.